after college, all my friends went on to get jobs, while I stayed for years in our university town to hang out in grad school, hit the weekly bar specials, and have my parents continue to pay for my car insurance. Sure, I had my part-time job at Lady Foot Locker, but when I could no longer afford the minimum payments on my credit cards, I knew it was time to make a change. My friend Bonnie suggested that I apply for an opening in her company, and it seemed like a good opportunity to enter the professional world and have something positive to talk about at my upcoming high school reunion. So I moved back to my hometown and started a new career selling medical supplies, full of confidence that my master's degree in philosophy had prepared me well for the corporate world. Right off the bat, it seemed like a good decision. They hooked me up with a laptop, a flip phone, and a company car. I had been in the job for only 2 weeks when Bonnie asked if I would be willing to drive to Maryland and take her place in a meeting with some coworkers from across the company and some very important clients. Stay in a hotel, Cinemax room service. Yes, I would take this free vacation. My only concern was I was so new to the company. Was I really qualified to represent our district? But Bonnie assured me that all I had to do was show up. I just had to be there. In fact, the last thing she said to me before I left was, "It is impossible for you to screw this up." I got down there just fine and had a great night in my private hotel room, but I stayed up until the wee hours watching late night cable TV, which made it difficult to get ready on time to meet my coworkers in the lobby at 8 a.m. But I came strolling out of the free hotel buffet at 8:05 feeling pretty good because 8:05 was the same as 8 o'clock in my mind. I saw them immediately waiting for me in a huddle, my medical supply sales executives. And when I could see them looking at their watches and sizing me up in my big hair and the suit I had borrowed from my mom, I realized they weren't going to see me as the adorable intellectual rookie as I had hoped. One of them asked if I had the car, and that's when I found out that I was responsible for driving us all to our client meeting. Because I had keenly observed that they already hated me for being late once, there was no way I was about to tell them that I still had to go up to my hotel room on the 7th floor to get my bags and the car keys. But I was quick on my feet, and I suggested that they wait around in front of the hotel, and I would go out to the garage and swing around and pick them up in the car. Luckily, they agreed. The moment they were out of sight, I raced up to my hotel room, frantically packed my stuff, and then paced in front of the elevator, which seemed like it was taking forever. I made my way down, found the car, hid all of my Burger King trash and my CDs, and finally I was ready to go get my colleagues. As I pulled out of the garage, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a sign, a very small sign, and it had an arrow. It said "to lobby," and the arrow was pointing in the opposite way from the way I was driving. As it turns out, the way I was driving should have had a sign that said, "This direction will take you further and further from the 3 executives who will have now been waiting for you for 15 minutes. It shot me out into a traffic circle, and I was immediately caught up in the vortex of swirling cars. I couldn't merge, and I was forced off to the right, down a one-way street. And I'm looking in my rearview mirror at my 3 executives who are getting smaller and smaller in the reflection. I keep making right turns, trying to get back to the hotel, but the streets are all weird. And before I know what's happening, I am headed north on I-95. And the first sign I see says, "Next exit 9 miles." I whimpered out loud in the car, and I immediately became drenched in sweat. My whole body was shaking as my mind tried to process the reality of what was happening. And the only thing I could think of to do, the only decision that made any sense, was to keep on driving to Philadelphia. I would get home, put on some sweatpants, get some lunch, and start putting my resume out on Monster.com. But as I kept driving, I thought about the fact that this was a company car, and I'd already sold mine, and I didn't have the credit score to get a new one. And I thought of my friend Bonnie, who'd gotten me the job, and thought it was impossible for me to screw this up. So as I hit that first exit, I got off and turned around and headed back toward the hotel. I started doing SAT questions in my head. If I go 85 miles an hour, how quickly can I get back there? If I go 90, how fast can I do it? And then I started trying to think of what kind of story, what kind of lie can I come up with that's going to explain the fact that I've been gone for so long getting the car from the back of the hotel. I made it back, and there they were, my 3 executives still waiting for me. I braced myself for their wrath as they got into the car. And there was a lot of loud sighing and slamming of doors. And then it got really uncomfortable in the silence as they waited for me to offer an explanation. But the only thing that would come out of my mouth was, "Hey." There was a lot of tension the rest of the day, and a lot of passive-aggressive behavior aimed in my direction. But can you believe no one ever asked me why it had taken me 37 minutes to get the car from the back of the hotel? Eventually, I got a haircut and my own suit, and I learned how to tell time. And by the time our annual meeting came around, I was awarded Sales Associate of the Year for our district. But as I walked up through a crowd of my colleagues to accept the award, I noticed there were 3 executives who I had only met on one occasion who were not clapping. Thank you.
That's Luanne Fox Sims.